kills. Like 8-1-3 is just because he's there in the fights.
Another person I actually want to talk about is WTF. We haven't talked about him too much because there was just a mid lane one-on-one for a long time because the lane swaps. He's 3-2-11, highest kill participation on his team, 14 out of the 16 kills he's been involved in. Highest CS in the game at the same time as Orianna. He shows up to these fights. His shockwaves have been a little game-changing, the ones where he doesn't hit a support only, and he hits 3 people, 2 people, completely changes the flow of the fight, especially when, at the start, your jungler gets picked off. So a lot of credit to him. I think WTF is one of the best European Challenger Series mid laners out there. He gets a ton of respect. Remember when he took down Alex, people were like, whoa, this guy means business, and his Syndra is something that always has to be banned out and thought about in Champs League.
It's true. He actually is an incredible player, and it's fun watching the upstart players. I mean, we saw this with Gambit's roster itself. Like, it's a bunch of Challenger players who we had seen in the Challenger Series and said, okay, their team didn't make it, but the players were good, and they get picked up on an LCS team. Well, SKP could be an LCS team themselves, of course. But yeah, you're absolutely right. We're having a lot of great standout performances by really good individual contributors.
Yeah, another thing about WTF, he's played 8 different champions in 10 games. Thing is you usually have to pay tribute to his Syndra and ban it out. But at the same time, he has so much in his arsenal. He's a deadly mid laner. You have to think about what strategy do I not want to play against, and then you still give him a comfort champion.
Exactly. He's got a very large bet. He's comfortable almost no matter where he goes.
Yeah, and I think also another thing about him is when you play against that, you really think, man, this guy is such a linchpin on the team, and then the team thinks, we have this guy with such a deep champion pool, we can dictate picks and bans around him and what team comp we want, because he can play everything.
Look at that, an immediate dragon pick up there, SK Prime, just kind of assume map control at this point. It wasn't even contested. We saw Gambit clear a ward off of Baron, but just give it away.
Well, Gambit focused all their wards on the left side of the map, on the Baron side of the map, where SKP are still prioritizing that dragon control.
And they're getting a bigger gold lead because of it. They're now within about 9,000. This number keeps growing over time. SKP are very far ahead. Most of the Bloodthirster is now done as well for Z's. He's just massive.
When he hits that 3-item spike, he doesn't really have to buy the last Whisper anytime soon because there isn't any threat of armor inside of Gambit Gaming just yet.
Yeah, it's actually really convenient. I think you would still go for this build even if you would go building armor.
You would go for 3rd item Bloodthirster, but look at this. Kickus.
No, but I mean,
Flash.
Yeah, it's more to the point that, yeah, there's no one to tank the damage. Yeah. Z's just got a bunch of items out of nowhere, or even more items just recently from the kills, and no one is prepared to deal with this. Kuban can't carry because he's going to die so darn fast. You got a Spectre's Cowl for his tank item, which means you're still going to get crushed by this Tristana. More ward control. SKP just setting up Baron. They have missed 1 ward, though, near that pit.
Oh, and there's Gambit going for the inside track for that turret.
The thing is, they can't stay in that, though. They get killed too easily. Smitty flashes in. They go for WTF. A lot of damage on the Orianna. He's going to have to pop the Zonius. Barely in time, but the kill still goes on towards Z's. Nick made that happen. WTF forced out, and Diamond's on the chase. They picked up 1 back with Fuse, but Diamond trades back on the mid laner. Kika still trying to do what he can. Smitty as well. Flashes in. Can they pick up this one onto Diamond? So far, 2 for 2. Double kill for the Fizz, and they go right for Baron.
They ended up killing the jungler, so there's no smite available, but Gambit have complete knowledge that this is happening right now. And here's the thing, this DPS is actually pretty decent on this Baron. They don't have their Tristana or their main damage dealer in mid lane, but they still have Viz with % HP missing damage, and they have this Mundo for persistent damage. It's not going to get chunked down, but it's still on its way.
Well, they are trying, and in comes Edward hooked in. Shark comes out as well. They try to kite back that Baron help, and they do. Kikis gets his 3rd kill. Smitty now the front.
Oh, Kikis
will go down, but they trade 1 back. Zaitan now hooks up Nick, but it's going to be the kill picked up for Nick. That is a 2 for 2 battle, and now can the Zed outplay? Looks like not. Burning Agony takes the last kill. 5 for 4 overall SKP.
They do stop the Baron, though, and I don't know if they're going to start it back up. Instead, Z's going to go straight for this red buff. It's the much smarter move here, and then establish dominance again. So SKP get a huge spike in gold there. Nick, he makes the right move here. He blows Z's up, completely focuses him down 100 to 0 very quickly. Flashes, actually. Oh, okay. So he flashes when it looked like he got buster shotted.
No, he used his W.
Did he? He went straight back to it. Okay.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, no, he still has his flash available. He used his W at the same time he got buster shot, so he didn't go anywhere.
He went to a wall, which doesn't even stun you. And then you just, like, hit him again. That was exactly perfect.
And still retained his flash for later on in the play.
Yeah, Z's the one who would flash to try to get away. He's like, okay, I need to flash like a buster shot you. And he's like, Shadow, get dunked.
Yeah, I saw a flash go off. I was like, I'm not crazy, right?
No.
And I looked down, and he still had it.
Nick massively outplayed that fight. It was beautiful.
Able to blow up Z's. They need more like that to happen, or else SKP are going to start running away with the game here. They have Baron control. Gambit Gaming, it's very hard to face check this when you have 10,000 gold in favor of the enemy team. They do get themselves a Scrying Orb on Chrysalin so that they can use that. He already used it just now. But still, SKP playing this right. They have a lead, they're looking for picks, and they're saying, if you don't face check this, we're going to get Baron. So they're using it as a tool to get more kills, and then eventually a Baron here.
SK Prime now up 9.3 thousand, 9.5, something like that. And the ward coverage, pretty good for these guys. You can see all the roots there. They don't quite darken out everything. There's that one ward making them sad. They know about it, though. It was pinged. And the sweeper's going to come up in just 1 or 2 seconds now for the jungle and mid laner. SK Prime trying to bait. There's the sweep. All right, and they've built darkness once again on the Baron pit.
And he walks towards it, walks away. And there's Miss Cindy J standing on a ward, and they get it. It's ward clear in time. And they start it actually while still in vision.
Well, they are going to spot it out here, but can they kill it in time regardless?
It's
It goes
going
down
so
so incredibly fast. Baron for SK Prime, and now the Shark catches Kuban. That is not good for the Rise top laner. In comes the Death Mark, though. Can they do enough for that one? Nick will fall, and Kika stays alive anyway. The shield definitely helping there from Zaitan, but now the chase. Diamond, half health. Cocoon's up on Z's, but they could chase down anyway. It's a 5v3 on the map with Baron buff.
Oh, Chrysalin pulled him away.
Oh my God, he just trolled Diamond, but he's got a Banshee Veil. He's going to be okay. And in they go now. Smitty can easily face take this turret. This should be the inhibitor at least taken down.
Such a great play there by SKP to rush the Baron down and then rush down this mid lane after just getting a couple kills. And Smitty J is going to take this turret up again, bustling down the base of Gambit Gaming.
Down to 1/3 health. Rise respawns just now. Does not play home guard boots. Then they go for inhibitor number 2. The Baron buff still on. Now Nick is back up at the 5-on-5. In goes Diamond. They ruin Prison Smitty J. The battle has begun. He's getting repeatedly slowed down. Z's now kind of in the front lines. Has to back up. And SKP are going to get out nice and clean. 2 kills. Baron and 2 inhibitors picked up for SK Prime.
And SKP have everything going for them right now. 14,000 gold advantage. That blue buff still falling into their hands. And now Gambit Gaming, it's really hard to get back into this game. They need more picks onto Z's with Nick. And then Nick needs to get back into the fight. They need to get some armor on them. They have to avoid What the Fox's damage. It is so hard to do. They have so many grueling tasks to complete at the same time that juggling them is going to be nigh impossible.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they make their way in with right now. They're outskilled at every position. The split push from Nick just doesn't seem to be doing very much for them, and he does have the ability to target Z's here, but so far Trish has played far enough back to not really get picked off by Nick. Cocoon, though, is going to hit Zaitan. Suddenly, that will be a pick, and Gambit can maybe use it to catch back in.
And Dragon is up. If they decide to try and make a play for it, they have the numbers advantage, but they don't have the gold advantage. Not even close. Their base is getting pressured, too. They have to send people back to deal with this. 2 inhibitors down. It's going to be another Dragon for SKP.
Very quickly is going to be the case, and it's just waves being held, a little bit of gold trickling in for Gambit, but so much more when you pick up a Dragon there for SK Prime. Now, will this be the push? They've got Baron for a few more seconds, I believe. And this could be the 3rd inhibitor, and maybe the next is going down for SK Prime.
What the Fox is almost full build, almost max level here in this game. He's been farming so well for himself. Such high kill participation on that Orianna mid lane.
There we go. Turret goes down.
Shockwaves are going to hurt so much. Regardless of who they hit, even if it hits one person at this point, it's going to do its job.
Yeah. Even on Kuban a lot.
Everybody's
a whole bunch of health. Edward goes to the ulti. He catches Watt to Fox, but they don't go in. That is an ulti lost for nothing here.
It is a 4-on-5 because they don't have Zaitan just yet, but it is the support. You're not going to be missing out on a lot of damage. Z's
once in, they stun. They go in for Z's, who tries to kite away. Can he get away properly, though? Giant Death Mark pop. He does out-duel Diamond, though, and in goes the kill onto Kristen all the same. They pick up Nick as well. 3 kills. That's going to be 4 with Kuban. Only Kickus now chasing onto Edward. Double kill for the jungle. Fizz and Ace, and game 1's going to go to SK Prime.
Knocking down these Nexus turrets. What the Fox almost dropped there, but he still stays alive. Such a good controlled game by SKP.
All right, well, smiles, nods. SKP knows they're 1/3 of the way into joining the LCS. They went and fought through a very tough challenger season. Short run in Summer 1, a very long run into the finals in Summer 2. These guys looking much better over time. You said Kickus joined the roster, revitalized them. I agree. They look great. The Jungle Fizz looked even better. SKP, man.
Jungle Fizz.
Yep.
I don't even know what to say to that. I can't wait to hear what Dominate and Crumbs have to say about that one, because I don't know. I have exhausted everything I have to say about it. It's like Elder Lizard, Trinity Force. He got himself a Glacial Shroud.
Glacial and a Ruby Crystal. He's going to go for like Spectre's Cowl plus Frozen Heart probably. So it's like CDR tank build by the end. Yeah. Lizard Triforce is the damage core.
Shroud.
It's like a Vi build, basically.
That's crazy.
He's basically playing Vi Fizz. that's basically the build, is Vi Fizz.
Yeah, no, I guess so. Your ultimate knocks people up too? Boom.
Yep.
Practically the same champ.
Q is basically Vault Breaker. Of course.
Yeah, no, if you flash Q, fish somebody.
Your W is an auto attack enhancer with a passive that deals % health damage.
Anyway, it was...
yes.
Oh, okay, I guess after 3. Yeah, okay. You got me there. Anyway, doesn't matter. This Fizz actually came up really big. It's not one of those things that was kind of like a token on the team. The fact that they lane swapped it, he didn't have to worry about being pressured in his jungle. Mm-hmm. And even then, he's Fizz. He can just jump over walls and escape.
Right.
There's a lot of things here that actually made that Fizz pick really good because it was a flex as well during Champion Select.
It was.
And I really, really like that strategy. I think SKP have one of the best pick ban phases.
And they look so darn strong with it. I mean, they clearly had all the things panned out. I agree, actually. It's worth stating it was a flex pick. They could just go back. They last picked the Orianna to say, you know, if we want Fizz mid, that's perfectly fine. Complete within Fox's champion pool. Totally acceptable. They could have gone for an Evelyn later on or whatever they wanted to for the jungle pick. So that was smart. They played a smart game as well. First Dragon went over to Gambit Gaming because of SKP's lane swap. Very smart by Gambit to do that. You know, well-structured play. And SKP were still able to say, okay, well, we'll get our gold back. We'll fight for Dragon number 2. And to me, it was also Smitty J being really big there. He was carrying those first few fights despite being under-leveled from lane swap. So I thought that was really impressive.
Yeah, and I thought their team fighting was right on point. And also the fact that Z's, he was down in CS, but then they had that one fight that ended up snowballing him on that Tristana, that they just kept showing up to him, and he was the primary target from Nick. Fox was still huge, so they had multi-threat options to them, and a jungler that did a lot of damage too. So everybody required attention, and then Smitty was the soaker. Yeah. So I really liked how they ended up playing the team fights for themselves, just the back and forth, but then they just broke through, and they ended up winning the game. Yeah,
that was huge. There were enough threats that even though sometimes the Trist would get picked off by Zed, you had Fox and everyone else doing good things. So good comp, good play, good everything by SKP. Going to hear more about that game, though. So for more on SK Prime's win, let's throw it over to the guys at the analyst desk.
Thank you, Freak. A very solid start there for SK. And I love the fact that they came out of the gates, threw a curveball with a very interesting champion select, picking up that Fizz early, but then ending up in the jungle.
Yeah, I love the Fizz jungle, and to be honest, we were discussing it a little earlier. I see it as sort of like a higher damage Elise, because Elise, late game, we all know, she's basically just a cocoon, while Fizz happens to have this massive AoE and a lot more damage that what Elise can bring, especially AoE, and he also has an invulnerability. Now, obviously, a curveball picked early. We've seen multiple times Europe likes to pick Fizz early, so perhaps at least we thought that it was going to be a mid-Fizz pick. And it was AD high, like some sort of hybrid with the rune setup, with W max Fizz that was able to just mow down Ryze and Zed with Mundo in the backline, which it was really entertaining to watch.
Yeah, it was very interesting, especially then to see it built in kind of an AD fashion. Dominate. In solo queue, have you, like in NA, have you run into anything like this? The Jungle Fizz built that way? Like
I've seen a Jungle Fizz before, and like as soon as we saw Jungle Fizz, Crumbs and I were discussing to each other, it's like, all right, so after he gets his Spectre Wraith, do you think he's going to go for Lich Bane, or is he going to go Frozen Fist? Like, what's his build path? And then he just like surprised us. He maxed W, he went Elder Lizard into Triforce. I've never seen anything like that before. It's really interesting, and that's like the first thing I want to try when I get back in solo queue.
Yeah, definitely going to have to pull that one out at some point. Well, let's now move into the game, though, because SK actually played it very well. As Irene had said, they split up their damage threats pretty well. They had Tristana, they had Ori, and then they did have this damage threat from the jungle. So there wasn't necessarily one target that Gambit could pick out, and they chose to lane swap in order to allow that Fizz a bit of a double jungle to get through early without taking too much damage and things like that. So what do you guys feel about the level ones? They had that nice invade, but they did get seen by a ward.
I think the SK play went for a regular lane swap, but they did one crucial mistake, which was they did not protect the dragon, or at least you can go ahead, if you're lane swap, but you can afford a ward. Just place a ward and make sure you don't lose that early dragon, because if you give up that early dragon, and let's say Gambit would have played it a little bit better, and they would have snowballed, if the Zed gets ahead, there's no way. That team comp would not have been able to survive against a split pushing Zed that's far ahead. So they need to really make sure that they're not bleeding out the first dragon early. It's not a big deal, but you don't want to give any leads to a team comp that requires split pushing. But besides that, it was once Mundo got ahead, there's no coming back from them.
Yeah, they had that late game. Even with the Rise on the other side, you got Mundo, Triss soaking up all that damage. It's going to be hard to come back from that. I do want to jump into the game. We're going to go 18 minutes and 30 seconds in around the dragon. This one goes in favor of SK. Dominate, I'm going to let you walk us through it. As soon as we pull it up on the boards here it is. If you don't mind, like, this is, I feel like, the first time that we really saw SK kind of pull ahead, because they had traded a few fights prior to this.
Okay. So if we can roll the clip. So they start off on Dragon. They're kind of just tanking it. They're daring Gambit to come in. And from here, what I like is they all commit to the side. They see Lucian on one side, and they all run left, and they just try to Zerg that side. And I think that's really smart play when you get attacked from two sides. Something that I actually wish we did a little bit more of on my team. So really smart call, and they're able to just clean it up by just being decisive and choosing a side to go on.
So this, yeah, like you said, it points to decisive, clear calls from a challenger team, which is, you know, something that we generally are criticizing challenger teams for, right? Like, they're all great individually skilled players, but generally they lack in the areas of shot calling and team play where LCS teams excel. But SK, I mean, they're looking pretty sharp here. Is this an LCS team in the works right here?
We have to see more games, to be honest. Seeing just that game, again, you played a death ball comp. They had a perfect death ball comp with the Fizz being able to be more of a diver and high damage threat instead of what we normally see being like an Elise or a Nunu that just basically only protects. So I really like that, but we need to see what they can deal. You need to be able to win in the best of 5 to be, if you're a LCS caliber team, of course. But again, that game, I think if Gambit would have gotten the early lead, they could have snowballed really far out of control. But NIQ did not seem that comfortable on Zed. Like, he just was. It didn't look like it was his really comfort pick, to be honest. At least not for now.
Crumbs, you spoke to the death ball aspect of the team, so we are going to pull up the second replay, which is only about 4 minutes later into the game, top lane. This is where we kind of see the Tristana get to that point of, like, there's no return. So I'll let you take this one away.
All right, so this is after they took the tier 2 mid. They saw a big wave top and went for it. Now, they just needed to back off here, and Fizz just goes in, commits suicide, and he basically done this himself. Now, he gets Zed ulted, which is a mistake by Zed going for that, because the Fizz is already dead. He used his E to get in. There's no getting out. And SK overcommits, but they're so far ahead that at this point it doesn't even matter. They managed to kill a couple, and now Gambit overcommits just like they did earlier. And once the Ori QW hits Lucian, they needed to just run away, but they keep chasing, and you're chasing into a team comp that wants you to chase them. Ori and Triss don't want to run into anybody. They want everybody to come to them. That's why they're really high damage threats that are not very, well, they're kind of mobile, but they just don't want to be the ones jumping into the fight. You want to create a situation where people jump you, and that's exactly what Gambit gave them, and they ended up getting ace for it.
At this point, Tristana's 8-1. We kind of see the game play out the way we expect it to. So Dominate, best of 5 series. One team pulls out. We'll say a little bit of cheese here in the first game. What's Gambit saying now? Because how much do they have to respect that cheese and worry about the Fizz again, or how much are they actually pulling from that game, saying, hey, look, if we can get them into a standard comp, we've got them beat?
I personally think that in that situation, I think you should ban out the Fizz. If it's something that's that out of left field and you don't really have an answer, I'd say just go ahead and ban it out. Unless you're super confident and you think you have like a legitimate counter, just go for a more standard game. I don't think there's another reason to give this guy an AD Fizz where he just pretty much like he was just really annoying in the game. It seemed like they didn't have an answer at any point, so I think that they should just ban it out. Go into the next game with just more standard junglers, maybe like put him on a Nunu, a Kha'Zix, or Rengar, just something that you're more familiar with.
Right, yeah, they got rid of the Lee Sin, Nami, and Nid in their ban, so that does mean, though, that they're going to have to sacrifice one of those in order to get rid of the Fizz. So I would have to say that that's a pretty well played first game there for SK in terms of mind games. And Crumbs, to that same effect, when you're in the best of fives, how important are the mind games there?
Oh, it's huge because you basically, after playing a little bit of the game, you kind of get a feel for what the other team prioritizes, because you kind of want to show the same strategy over and over and over in the best of five and just wait till the other guy counters. They'd be like, okay, we played this comp the first game, we're going to play it the second game, let's see if you can beat it again. And if they can't, then you just basically play the same thing 3 games in a row and you win. So I'm guessing SKP will try to do the same thing. They'll play a similar comp. Now, maybe Fizz gets banned. As Dominate pointed, he was really annoying. Like, I don't think he was like a huge reason why they won, but he just was in the faces of Gambit the entire time, and they did not seem like they knew how to do it. Like, for instance, that example where Zed ultied the Fizz that E'd into him, that was if Zed had saved his ultimate over committing to chase a Triss and Ori, would have been perfect. They probably would have won that fight really decisively. But they just did not look comfortable playing against that champion. So we could see that ban and put him on something more standard. But if they see Lee Sin as something that they should get rid of for SK Prime, then perhaps not. But I think they should have just gone for something for like a Lee Sin for Diamond. After all, it's one of his best champions, and Lee Sin can deal with any cheese jungler.
Yeah, a Jungle Fizz pick is definitely one of those picks that requires a lot of your brain power when you're playing against it, because being unaware of its full potential requires you to give it more thought, which makes it harder to deal with in team fights, because you're like, I'm not sure what his damage output potential is, so I'm going to ult him just to get him off the playing field here. But if we go into the next game, right, yesterday we saw a challenger team start out 2-0 and then not be able to come back. So when we talk about the difference between an LCS team and a challenger team, Gambit being one of those teams that has been around for a very long time, we have Edward and Diamond still on that team. How much is their mental fortitude, their stamina, their ability to play 5 games in a row and adapt gonna factor into being able to pull out a win? Dominate?
I definitely think that they'll be pretty calm with it. They've played best of fives before. Like they were in the finals of LCS even a couple splits ago. So I think they'll be fine. I think they just need to get away from the cheese. They showed that Fizz was a super high priority. They first rotation the Fizz. Like after you see that, you know that they're probably prepared to play jungle and mid since they played a jungle that game. I think that you should just go with a more standard game and just see if they can beat you straight up.
All right, so we'll look to see if Gambit does make some of those changes. Look for a more standard game, as they clearly had a game plan going into that first game. We are going to take a quick break, though, while the teams reset for our second match between SK Prime and Gambit. The Spring Promotion Tournament resumes in just 3.5.
There's a death mark there as well. More fight coming in there. This could be risky for Nick. He predicts the jump back with the shockwave. First blood comes into Red Glove Kickus. Fizz going in hard. Has to walk away from Kuban. Ken comes into Red Glove Kickus. Fizz going in hard. Has to walk away from Kuban. Can they win the fight anyway? Edward will go down. 1 for 1 so far. Nick on the retreat. Watch the Fox pops. The zone is to stay alive. And this is Z's just killing everybody. They are trying, and in comes Edward hooked in. Shark comes out as well. They try to kite back that Baron help. And they do. Kickus gets his 3rd kill. Smitty now the front.
Oh, Kickus
will go down, but they trade one back, and in goes the kill onto Prison all the same. They pick up Nick as well. 3 kills. That's going to be 4 with Kuban. Only Kickus now chasing onto Edward. Double kill for the jungle. Fizz